Well, hello everyone, and welcome to yet another Discussions with Dolf. And we are still in Cuba. In fact, today we are in a 1957 Plymouth. It's a beautiful vehicle. You can hear the roar of the V8. It is just a delight to travel around in this. By chance, it has the same color as my shirt, and even our driver's shirt is the same color. And the fences we're passing, I'm not saying it's a universal color here, it's just pure chance. But sometimes all the stars will align, and sometimes they'll align when you're looking at real estate, and you'll find an ideal property at a great price for you that's still a great price for the seller, and the seller wants to get rid of it because of old age or sickness, or they don't know what to do with it, or they don't want to be bothered with it, and yet you know what you might be able to do to it to change its use. Maybe change it from residential to light commercial, or some kind of retail shop or something like that. And I've always said, you know, when you get inside information on something to do with the stock market, that's called insider trading, and it's punishable by imprisonment, as some notable characters have found out. Whereas if you get information from the city council as to where there's going to be a zone change, so that something might change from residential to commercial, then all of a sudden that is no longer insider trading. In fact, members of the public can go to the council meetings, and even if you can't attend, you can probably watch them over the internet, or you can send a friend or companion along to get the information and share it, and you act on that information. And there's no insider trading, it's public knowledge, but very few people act on it. And one of the things I love about real estate is by putting your brain power into it, you can change the value of a property to you, so that you can buy a property at a great price, as I said a moment ago, that's still fair to the seller, and yet you might make a killing out of it. Anyway, we're traveling through the suburb of Miramar. Miramar was the place to live prior to the revolution. It's where some of the big mansions were. A lot of them are a bit run down now, but slowly, one by one, they're being gentrified. And this is also the area where you'll find a lot of the embassies. We just passed the Malaysian embassy. One of the most spectacular and unique buildings I've seen is that of the Russian embassy. And maybe I'll slip a photo of that in later. But anyway, I want to thank you oh yes, we're coming to it here. I didn't even realize. So we're going to keep it rolling, because I'm going to show you the Russian embassy as we go by. Now, I don't believe it's for sale. It looks a bit dated. Of course, the US Embassy has just opened again after a hiatus of something like half a century. But this is a very stark building. I imagine it would be relatively difficult to get in there. But who knows, you know, if you didn't have permission to get in there, I mean, of course, it would be a bit difficult to breach the perimeter of it. I also wonder whether the building code would allow for such a tall structure these days. But anyway, Miramar is obviously the place where things were happening, and I suspect that when there's a resurrection here, it's also, again, going to be the place to be. And maybe we can swivel over and show the embassy and its unique structure there. And before I sign off, I just want to give you a view of this dashboard here. This dashboard has got to be one of the most amazing dashes around. The thing, of course, as I've said a couple of times now about these old classic cars here in Cuba, is that there are so many of them, and that they're all in functioning condition. They're all driving around. Many of them have the original engine. I believe this one does. Many, of course, have had the engines replaced. For a while, they're being replaced by Russian engines, and more recently, I understand that the diesel engine by Toyota is the engine of choice for the replacement engine for a lot of these old classic cars. But nonetheless, they're all running, and I've never seen such a vast, massive collection of old classic American cars as I have here in Havana, Cuba. Absolutely a place to visit. Put it on your bucket list. And anyway, until my next Discussions with Dolf, I want to wish you, as always, successful investing. Thank you so much.